Hey guys, it's Melissa, and tonight we are going to talk about branding yourself. So I feel like branding is talked about a lot, but I'm going to break it down tonight into just a couple of high level points. We're going to touch the tip of the iceberg today. Hopefully this will be a nice short and sweet Instagram live for you guys. And then if you're watching this on the replay, there will be a blog post up at the link in my bio. So make sure you check that out. And if you're watching this live, then, give me like a half-hour head start before you go and run to check for that blog post. So I don't know about you guys, but I just made some tea and I was super excited to drink it. And then I realized that our house is super toasty because it's like really, really nice outside today. And we haven't turned on our air conditioning yet. So I had to grab a water and I feel like I am just warm and toasty over here. Hi guys, live. I'm glad that you could make it. So we're going to talk all about branding tonight. And first, I kind of just wanted to give a little light to why we're talking about this tonight. So I think it was about a week ago, I changed my Instagram profile picture from my Woods and Wool logo to a picture of myself. And I did a whole bunch of stories when I made the change because it was freaking me out. And I know it seems like it's not a huge deal, but it really is. So to even take it back farther, when I started Woods and Wool, I thought it would be super cool to just be like incognito and just be anonymous, and people wouldn't know like who I was behind the account, and like that failed instantly. I realized that plan would never work because branding yourself is so important. So I think from the get-go, I knew that I wanted to be like a part of the Woods and Wool experience, I guess. I'm not sure how else to say that, but I wanted you guys to know me and not just my crochet work and not just like yarn. I wanted you guys to know me. So then I was listening to Jasmine Star, and she was on, I think it's Ed Milet's podcast. You guys can look it up if you want to. It's in the iTunes podcast app. But Jasmine said something along the lines of, I'd asked like, hey, what do you think about profile picture? What should that be? And Jasmine just like nailed it. Like she said, it should definitely be a picture of you. You should be having eye contact with the camera. You should be smiling if possible. It should be from like the chest up so people have a pretty clear view of your face. And as I listened to all these things, it really clicked for me. Like it hit me like a brick wall, because ever since I started this, I wanted to be part of the face of my brand, and I had my profile picture as my logo because, and this is how I justified it. This is probably a mistake looking back, but this is how I justified it. I loved my logo. I still do. It's on my website. It's on my emails. It's still my logo. I still love it. But I justified having that logo as my profile picture because I always had my face in my feed. I'm always in my stories where you'll see my face. And, once a week I'm here on Instagram Live. So I was like, I don't need my profile picture to be of my face because I'm showing my face in all these other places. I think that was a mistake. And I'm not sure at what point I should have changed that, maybe from the get-go. But looking back now, I probably should have done it sooner. And last week, it really felt like I was ripping off a Band-Aid to change that picture. But I think it was definitely the right decision. And I'm going to kind of like walk you through what a brand is, why it's important, why you should be the face of your brand, and how you can be the face of your brand. So that was kind of a long-winded intro. Thanks if you're still hanging out here. I see too a lot of you guys as you're popping in. I see just from this view that I can see a lot of your, actually maybe I see more like half and half logos as profile pictures, half pictures of your faces. So maybe after we listen or we chat, I guess, together during this Instagram Live, I would love to hear your guys' thoughts. And if you have a logo as your profile picture, if you're going to keep that, and if you don't, just like I would love to hear your guys' thoughts kind of on this as we talk through it. So the first thing let's talk about, and again, everything about this Instagram Live is going to be short and sweet, I hope. So if I'm missing details or you're confused, just send me a DM or add in a comment here and we can kind of clarify that. But the first thing we're going to talk about is what's a brand? And specifically, what is a brand versus a business? Is there a difference between a brand and a business? Yes, there is. So a business is a company, an organization, a person that sells a product. Pretty simple, right? So in the maker world, I'll use the example. Let's say I'm Melissa. You might know me as Woods and Wool. Right now I sell crochet patterns, but a year and a half ago, I also sold a lot of physical items. So that's my business, right? Just an organization, person, company that is selling a thing. Could be a product, could be a service. It's selling a thing. Now, a brand. I have so many notes as always, so I have to like cheat too because I want to make sure I don't miss anything. So a brand is an image, a personality, an emotion, and an experience, among a lot of other things. But a brand is something that you can feel and that you want to create that emotion, that experience when a customer or your audience comes in contact with your brand. Even if they're not like purchasing anything, you want them to have that experience with your brand. So you want them to feel something. It's not just like, hi, I sell crochet patterns. It's, hi, I sell crochet patterns that are really unique and modern and make me feel really cool and inspire me to make more things. It gives me a lot of pride. There's a lot of like emotions kind of tied in, and you may not really connect them like just at face value, but they're kind of those underlying feelings that go alongside your business. So your business is just kind of selling a thing, and your brand is really that experience that you create. So the good thing about a brand is that it can pivot. So let's say I started out selling physical products, which this is true. Maybe, you guys, I'm not even gonna say maybe, this is what I did. So I started out selling physical products, and then down the road, I ended up selling patterns. Now you might see other makers pivot, and just makers are a really good example because it's kind of like the world we live in here on Instagram. So you might see other makers pivot where they sold patterns and now they hand dye yarn, or now they sell hooks, or I'm trying to think of other enamel pins. That's a good one. So those like little pivots, those little quarter turns in your business, you can make those when you have a solid brand, because it's not like I'm just shopping with them because of their yarn. You're shopping with them because you also connect with the person, you trust them, you like what they're selling, and when they offer something else, you already bought in because you already know the brand experience that they're selling. They're not just selling a product, they're giving a whole experience, a whole feeling to everything that they're doing. Not just like when you make a purchase, but when you watch their stories, when you see their website, everything should be a seamless experience if you're going to be a successful brand. So one other thing that you should have in this is you should really have your mission, your why, that sort of like foundation to your business. You should have that pretty solidified. So think about why you're doing what you're doing, what your long-term goals are, and really like take some time to sit in that and think about how that feels and whether or not it fits, and just keep like working with it until you really have honed in on like why you're doing what you're doing, and then what your mission is by creating a brand or by selling a product, as we're talking about. So again, I've used a couple maker experiences or examples in this, but just to even put it in like a broader perspective, if you think about something like Nike sells shoes, they sell athletic clothing, they sell like a plethora of things in the athletic industry, but they're selling a lifestyle, and they're selling just do it. They're selling so much more than just a pair of shoes. When you buy Nike, you're buying into a lifestyle, right? You're not just getting a pair of shoes. If you just wanted shoes, you would just go to Walmart and like get shoes, or you might get sandals, but like you're buying into this athletic experience and this athletic lifestyle. So when you think about branding, you want people to have the same experience with you, and in your social media, on your website, on your blog. When they open up your pattern, one of the very first things I asked my pattern testers for my first pattern was, what was your initial impression when you opened up the pattern? Did you like the way it looked? Was the font legible? Did you like the pictures in it? Did you like the way it was laid out? Because that's all part of your experience. That goes beyond the product that you're selling. So I think I've spent enough time on this part, but again, if you guys have any questions, just pop them in here as we go. I'm going to try and make sure I'm checking on them, and then hopefully we can go through any questions at the end. So branding yourself and being the face of your brand. What does that mean? What does it mean on social media? If I could just sum it up in one thing, one word, it's to humanize your brand. So when you are the face of your brand, when you're there in front of it, you're adding a person, a personal touch, a connection, a relationship. It's now so much more than just a business selling a product. You've humanized it. So when you humanize your brand, you're creating a lot of trust, and you're going to have a lot higher value because people are going to believe in you and what you're selling. So there are people, probably like 2 people that have ever told me this, but it was probably one of the nicest comments or DMs I've ever gotten, which is, they said, I'll line up and buy whatever pattern you're selling. And that meant the world to me because they didn't just buy into my patterns, they were buying into me and my brand and that experience that I really want to create for people. So when you think about it, you're going to connect with people, like whether it's your coworker or your neighbor. When you like stop and chat with them or you see them outside, you start to understand them more and you start to like I said, connect with them. So I think it's super important that you don't just sit behind your computer or behind your phone and think that people are going to get it. Because they're not. They're going to get it when you come in front of your camera or you show up in your caption, you show them how excited you are and who you are and why you're doing what you do. So definitely start to think about, again, that why, your mission statement, the impact you want to make, your long-term goals, and then start to connect that with how can I humanize this? How can I show that this is so much more than just the product that I'm selling? Okay, now I know I said I made tea, but I have water because it's super warm in my house. So give me 1 second and then we'll get to the last part, which is going to be how you can be a brand and not just a business. And especially here on Instagram, but I think you can apply some of this to like all of your social media or your website or whatever. So 1 second. If you guys have never tried this, it's like hint flavored water, literally addicted to it. I drink them all the time. It's not sparkling water either, and it's like all natural, like non-GMO ingredients. So if you're into that type of thing, I really like crisp, clean, light flavors. And I can't drink a lot of sparkling water because it's just so bubbly. Anyway, hint, if you ever see this, I'd love some water. Okay, so now let's talk about how. Right at the very beginning of this, I told you guys that it was a really big decision for me to change my profile picture from my logo to a picture of my face. That is super easy. And if you don't have a picture of yourself that you like, that's okay. It's really small anyway, so people aren't going to be able to see it as clearly as you can. So if you feel like, it's not the greatest picture, like your skin doesn't look good or whatever, it's a really tiny picture. So pick your best one and then you can always replace it later with something else. Oh, I saw a couple of you guys said that you're introverts, a little camera shy, or afraid to put yourselves out there, terrified to go in front of the camera. Okay. Here's the thing. When we talk about humanizing our brand, part of that, and what I'll get into in this, is to be vulnerable and to be honest. And I think that's really what connects with people. It is the most terrifying thing in the entire world. But when you choose to go on camera, whether it's on your stories or on Instagram Live, just say, like, this is absolutely terrifying for me right now, but I have something I want to tell you. And then say whatever it is you want to say. But people will connect with that. People will be like, I promise you guys, literally no one will be like, oh, you look really nervous. Like, if anything, people will say, you did great. I wouldn't have even known that you were nervous if you hadn't said anything. And I saved my very, very, very first talking Instagram story. It was about a year ago, actually, and I have it saved on my phone. and I'll look at it once in a while, and it is like the most awkward thing I've ever watched. It's so weird. But I started somewhere, and who cares? Like, I'm the only one that has that saved on my phone. No one else can see it. I mean, they saw it at the time. But I don't know. I think there's just something about not being perfect that people actually connect with more than you'd think. And they're rooting for you. Like, no one is trying to like watch you fail. Like, everyone that's following you is rooting for you. So don't think that like they're going to be super critical of what you're saying or how you say it, because really just showing up in of itself is the most powerful thing you can do, regardless of how you feel. Like, I will admit, just gonna be perfectly honest, we were in California for like the last almost week, and we were super overindulging. There's like a 3-hour time difference, so it is completely catching up with me. I felt so off today, you guys. Like, I just feel, right now I feel pretty okay, but like earlier today, I just felt like absolute garbage. And I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna show up on Instagram Live later. I feel super low energy right now, but I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna not show up because the circumstances aren't perfect. So here I am. And if it's not your best day and you don't feel super great or you're not confident about it, just show up anyway, because someone out there, I promise you guys, I'm gonna wrap up this tangent in a second, but if you have something to share, maybe it's like an inspirational quote, or maybe it's something you were thinking about that day, or maybe it's something you're really excited about, someone needs to hear that today. Like, someone out there in the universe needs to know that either they're not alone, or maybe they need to know that maybe they're just gonna be really excited about, let's say you're talking about a pattern you're gonna release, and maybe they're like, oh my gosh, I've been looking for a pattern just like that. I'm so excited. That just made my day. Like, you can literally change someone's day in a 10-second Instagram story. So I think it's worth it, but it's definitely something to work on when you're just trying to like get over that fear of talking in front of your camera. And sometimes, more often than not, I rewatch my Instagram stories or I rewatch my Instagram lives, just like bits and pieces, and I can be so critical of myself, but I just leave them up. I never take them down, because I'm like, well, okay, you already did it. Like, you might as well leave it. If someone's gonna focus on how much I say the word so or how much I say the word like, which I say all the time, that's on them. But there's a greater message that I'm trying to get across, and I'm gonna focus on that instead of trying to say it perfectly. End of that tangent. Sorry, I missed a couple comments. Let me just back up. Oh, okay, so you had your logo as your profile picture for ages. Definitely worth it to switch. So happy I did. The profile picture you chose is so beautiful. Thank you. And here's another thing. If you guys are ever in your DMs and sending those DMs to people on Instagram, it's really not as fun to talk to a logo. Like, when you see the logo popping up, I didn't realize it so much until I changed mine, but it's not as like personal to like be chatting with somebody and seeing their logo pop up as it is to like see their face. And it's like the tiniest little circle in the world, but just like seeing their face pop up next to what they're saying, I swear it's like a psychological thing. I'm not a psychiatrist or a psychologist or either of those, but I swear it makes a difference. Natalie, if I can do it with my big face, y'all can too. Okay, see, that's the thing, Natalie, is you think that, but I have never, ever, ever thought of that when I see your stories, ever. Your stories are awesome. I'm quite a bit older than most of the average yarn dyers. When I do stories or lives, all I can see are the wrinkles. Oh, don't feel like that. And okay, that's another thing. Whenever I do these Instagram lives, I have been at work all day. I come home, it's very toasty in my house right now. And like literally I look at this and I'm like, wow, my face is super shiny. And I like blot my face and like put on some powder before I do this. And then I still sit here and I'm like, wow, girl, your face looks a little shiny. But no one ever in the universe, maybe they've thought it, but no one has ever told me that. So I'm just gonna pretend that no news is good news. And you might notice your wrinkles, but I promise no one else probably will. I get self-conscious too sometimes. I just followed My Changing Body and it's so motivating. I've never heard of that, but I'm definitely gonna have to look it up. Does it matter if I have yarn or something crafty in the picture? No. I actually think just like a clean headshot, just your face, is really good because no one's gonna be able to tell what it is you're holding up or doing anyway. Like in mine, actually, I'm holding up yarn like this and I couldn't really crop it out, so it's sort of there, but I don't think you notice it. But I'm trying to think. Tony from TL Yarn Crafts, hers is really nice. She's got some like yarn in the background, but when you look at her profile picture, it just kind of looks like colors. So it's really pretty. It catches your eye. And like if you know her, you know it's yarn, but like if you were just scrolling through Instagram, you'd just be like, oh, cool, that's a cool girl named Tony. Like, I'm gonna follow her. So don't overthink it. Just take a picture of yourself that you're happy with and start with that. And then maybe 3 or 4 months down the road, change it if you have a different picture that you like. I do that too. I don't like looking at my face. I don't think anyone does, to be honest. Sometimes I feel like it's super narcissistic to post pictures of yourself. At least I always feel that way when I'm posting pictures of myself in my feed. But that's really how people know who you are. And true story, someone came up to me at work today. I work for like a really large company. And someone came up to me today at work to ask me a question. And she was like, I follow you on Instagram. And I was like, what? And as much as that like makes me hyperventilate and makes me like turn like red instantly, that's kind of what I want. I want people to know me and my brand and not just my crochet patterns. I want people to really know me. I want them to know what I'm about, and I want them to feel inspired by it, hopefully. Everyone has that something that they're self-conscious about it. The only way to get past it is to jump. Yes, and when you jump, it's never as bad as you think it's going to be. And once you do that jump, you are just, I was just gonna say you're gonna fly. But really, seriously, it gets so much easier and it's never as bad as you think it is. Honestly too, like, nothing is ever perfect, and as I sit here in my front room, like cars drive by, neighbors walk across, sometimes people walk up on our porch and like drop something off like right as I'm sitting here. So the circumstances are never perfect. Never be ashamed to show your real life, because we're all just people behind a phone, and most of us have families or jobs or like a whole plethora of other things going on. So don't be afraid if like things aren't perfect. Just do the best you can with what you have, where you are. I think that's how the quote goes. All right, so here's the thing. I know all you guys are like freaking out about showing your face, and that's super scary, but here's a couple other quick tips that are even easier than just changing your profile picture. Well, it just depends. I think they're a lot harder, but if you're not comfortable showing your face, this is also a great way to engage with people and create that brand experience. So use your captions. I'm talking about when you post on Instagram and you have the opportunity to write something in that space. Don't throw that away. I know Instagram is all about beautiful pictures and creating a beautiful feed, but those captions, that's like the heart of Instagram. Like, put something out there that connects with people, and you want them to literally read it and say, me too. Or, I needed to hear that today. Or, oh my gosh, thank you so much for sharing that. I never would have guessed that. Because whether or not it's something vulnerable, it can be something, I don't know why, but I always gravitate towards like sharing struggles, because I feel like I always just want to like be very upfront with the fact that my life isn't perfect. So I tend to like, whatever's on my mind or maybe bugging me that day, I try and like turn it into something that could help someone else. As they say, turn your mess into a message. So whatever you're going through, think about what you learned from it, or maybe if you're on the other side of that experience, turn that into something useful that someone else can benefit from. And your caption is a great place to do that. It's a great place to tell stories. It's a great place to share what else is going on behind the scenes. So sometimes, like the picture I just posted of my felt bag, I don't know where I put it. It's in the other room. But I posted this cute picture of me like holding this felt bag with all my enamel pins on it. And the truth is that like all the pins are popping off the bag. Like I wasn't even anywhere near my felt bag when I was posting that. And I don't remember, I had another confession in that. I don't remember what it was. But the point is I was kind of sharing things that were saying like, hey, I know this picture looks super cute, but like things aren't always what they seem. So your caption is a great place to do that. So show your face either in your profile picture, your stories, Instagram Live, in a post in your feed, show it somewhere. And if you need an excuse to do that, there's hashtags like Friday introductions, hashtag Maker Monday. I think it's lovecrochet.com that's doing, what was it called? It's like a May Maker type of hashtag challenge, which is like also sharing more like behind the scenes of like who you are and you as a maker. So those are really, really great opportunities if you need like an excuse to show like your face or to say something in the caption that you wouldn't normally feel comfortable doing. Do it for the sake of a hashtag. So use Friday introductions or Maker Monday or that any challenge that you see. Stuff like that really can help create like a persona and humanize that experience. Now the next thing, again, super, super, super easy, but pick like a few things that you really love or that make you who you are. So one thing you guys have probably seen here on my Instagram is that I love whales. Yeah, I really do love whales. I also want to have an alpaca farm someday. My husband, Austin, is a beekeeper, so he has like a beehive and we keep them at my parents' house. So those are like a few things that I tend to hone in on and share in my captions a lot or in my introductions, or it's like in my Instagram bio. And I know those seem super silly, super trivial, very insignificant, but the truth is that people really remember those. So find a few things that you really love. Maybe it's a specific kind of like tea or coffee, or maybe you always start the day with like, maybe you always have like donuts on the weekend, or maybe you're like a big runner, or maybe you like surf in your spare time. I don't know, but find those like just unique little things that are just like fun facts kind of, and share those in your captions because people will remember those. They're going to remember those more than like, look at this really pretty yarn. No, that's what we're all kind of saying. So like you're trying to stand out and create that experience that's different from the product that you're selling. And that's what people connect with, which is super cool. So one of the coolest things about this that I just absolutely love is when people send me things that are like honeycomb related, because they know I have honeycomb like everywhere in my house. Or when they send me like whale pictures or just like whale mugs, anything whale related, I get super pumped about. And people will literally send me a picture and be like, oh my gosh, I saw this at Michael's and thought of you. And that literally means the world. That means that one, they remembered me, and two, my brand went beyond just like yarn. Like they remembered me as a person. And I think that's just the coolest thing in the entire world. So the last thing is just to put yourself in your audience's shoes. If you feel like you're being cheesy or inauthentic or like you're trying too hard, like I always think it's kind of funny when people say like, double tap if you agree. And I'm like, do you even believe what you're selling or what you're saying? Like if you don't believe it and it doesn't resonate with you, other people will see right through that. So whatever you're doing in creating that brand experience, make sure you're doing it in a very genuine way. Make sure that you mean it, because otherwise it falls short and people won't remember it. It's not going to be the experience that you're probably trying to create. So whatever you do, just make sure it's genuine and make sure that your brand is something that you personally want people to like feel when they come across you and your business. So one of the things I think about with that too is sometimes I feel super peppy on Instagram. And I know I said like during this live, I'm really not super feeling it today just because it was a weird off day for me. But I always worry that, am I showing up in person the same way I'm showing up online, and just trying to like lessen the gap between those two things. I want people to like get the real me, and even though you're only seeing like a small part of my life, you're only seeing my little maker life on here, I want to make sure that that aligns with like who I am as a person, and that everything I do is something I can stand behind 100%. Okay, so that was it. I wanted to be on here for 30 minutes. It's been 30 minutes and 30 seconds. So if you guys have questions, pop them in the comments right now, because I'm only going to hang out for a couple more minutes, and then I'm going to go upstairs and write this up as a blog post and publish that tonight for you guys, so you can just read the Cliff Notes version if you missed part of it, or if you just kind of like that little recap. So if you guys listen to this whole thing, thank you. And remember to think about your Instagram, your business, not just as a business, but as a brand. So create the experience, the emotions, everything that you want the person to feel when they come in contact with you in your business. And what that's gonna do is help humanize you and create trust and value. So when you go to sell something, it's gonna be so much easier, because people already believe in you and they believe in what you do and who you are. So I don't think, oh man, guys, I wasn't scrolling, so I missed all these comments. So sorry. Let me catch up on those super quick. So if you guys, I've done this before. I did this one other time. And if you're scrolling through your comments in Instagram Live and you like stop at a point, it won't continue updating them. So like I thought there was no comments, but there was. So let me just run through these. Sorry, I didn't mean to be like ignoring you guys. Natalie, just make sure you don't have boogers. The rest doesn't matter. I've actually Instagrammed before, and my mom has messaged me and said, hey, Melissa, like there's something in your teeth. That's happened to me on multiple occasions. But people were super nice about it. I think that's true. I mentioned that I don't like the sound of my own voice, and 3 others chimed in, they don't like the sound of theirs either. And that's what I think is so interesting, is because no one says like, hey, I don't like the sound of your voice either. No one does that. What ends up happening is people will say, oh, like I never liked my voice either, or I never thought I had good skin either, or I've been really self-conscious about this too. And it's usually just in your head, but someone else is thinking the same thing. I tried to do lives before, but only my bestie shows up. You might like the blog post I published about Instagram Live. They're at the link in my bio. But long story short, when I started doing Instagram Lives, I would literally have 4 people watching. And one of those was my mom. But don't feel bad about that, because it's a great time to like practice and just go with the flow and see what happens, and just get used to feeling like you're on camera and everyone's watching you. And it kind of helps you get over that like awkward nervousness. Well, joining a live with another member help us too. Yeah, for sure. Like you can do, I don't know, dual Instagram lives. Like you can add other people in your Instagram live and do it at the same time with them, which is super nice, because then you can just kind of chat and you have time to like pause and think. Whereas right now, like I'm super thirsty, but I feel like I can't stop and take a drink because I feel like I need to keep talking or something. I do that a lot with captions. Yes. I swear you could be a motivational speaker. You have the best voice and optimistic perspective. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. That seriously means everything. Like that's the only thing I care about, and that goes beyond my Instagram. That is kind of tied into like what I do as my day job, my career, and literally everything I do is I just always want to try and focus on the bright side and help other people see that too. Oh yes, it was my shoes in that post. Yes. I bought these shoes in 3 colors, and I included one of the colors in that Instagram picture, and then I decided I wasn't going to keep them. But I liked them in the picture anyway, so you're so good at speaking. I agree that you should be a motivational speaker. Oh my gosh. I don't know what I'd say, and that sounds so cliche, but I just try to help empower other people to find their voice, because literally every single person has a voice. And whether you speak to someone in passing in the hallway, someone on Instagram Live, your dog, someone can benefit from what you have to say. So just use your voice. I wish there was a narwhal emoji. Me too. And thank you. I feel like so much better. It's not that I ever felt like super bad today. It's just like that really off feeling. I don't know if you guys ever get that, but if I like haven't been eating very healthy, or if I'm not getting enough sleep, like my body literally, it'll tell me. Like I just start to feel like real garbage. So I'm a big advocate for like work-life balance and making time to like rest, because it'll catch up with you. And it may not catch up with you as fast. Like for me, I can go like maybe a week and then it catches up with me. Maybe for you, it's like 10 years. And then your body will be like, hey, you should have been taking better care of yourself. So I'm a big advocate for that. Wow, thank you guys so much. You guys are so nice. And I seriously, like, whoo, you guys, this just hits me in the feels, because I really wasn't sure if I was gonna like suck it up and do this tonight, because again, just like earlier today, I just wasn't feeling super great. And thank you for listening, and thank you for letting me know that this was worth it, because if one of you resonated with one thing that I said, then it's worth it. So thank you. Can you tell? Sometimes I get teary-eyed when I get really like emotional, or like when I really mean something. And that was kind of like a moment. I'm not like a crier, but sometimes when things like hit me in the feels, it just like, I don't know. Don't watch a Disney movie with me, because I will cry. But other than that, I try and be very like stoic. I think the issue with showing face for humanizing is tough, because we compare these other perfect put together people. Yeah, but here's the thing at the end of the day, and this is where you put yourself in your audience's shoes. I don't really want to follow somebody that's perfect. I find it very interesting and very inspiring when people overcome obstacles and pursue their passions regardless of anything that they're going through. So Jenna Kutcher is a really great example, one of my favorite entrepreneurs and creatives to follow, because she is a huge advocate for body positivity and will post pictures of herself in like her underwear or her bathing suit. And I would rather see her in that than anybody else, because she's not perfect, and because she owns up to that, and because it makes me feel better about me not being perfect. Whereas when I look at perfect people, I just start comparing myself, and I don't really think that's like a healthy thing to do. Comparison is, what is the quote? Comparison is the thief of joy. That could not be more true. Can you show the water bottle so I can look for it and try it? Yes. So it's called Hint, and you can get them at Target. If you guys have a Kroger near you, they have them at like Kroger. I've only found them at like a few different grocery stores, but seriously, you guys, I'm not a big water drinker, so I try and drink like one of these a day, and it's life-changing. Totally understand. 3 days for me. Can you repeat the name? I couldn't hear you. Sorry. Yeah, you know what? I'll just type it. Hint. Water. Boop. There you go. You're the reason I started doing stories. However, I stand my big face. I'm always too close to the phone. Actually, that's super funny, because I always feel like I'm really close to my phone when I do Instagram Lives, and when I watch them back, I'm like, Melissa, why do you have to be like this? But I do it because it's easier to read the comments. But like then I watch other people and they're like this, and I'm like, why can't I sit like this? It's harder to read the comments from here, so I like to be up close. I love the strawberry hint water and the watermelon one. I haven't tried the strawberry yet, but the watermelon one is my all-time favorite. Like, it tastes like real watermelon, not watermelon flavor. Seriously, so good. Okay. Well, guys, I think I'm going to leave you with this, but I challenge you guys to think about your brand and the experience you want to create, and be genuine, be authentic, be real, be vulnerable. Oh Oh, you can watch the lives on the computer. IDK if the comments come up though. Oh, that's a good point. So I've done it on Facebook where I'm like watching the comments in my computer and then talking to my phone. And it honestly really it's very cumbersome. So, I'll just kind of do this as long as you guys don't mind so I can be nice and close and read your comments. If we were in person, I wouldn't get this close to your face, but you understand. Okay, so that's it for now, guys. I'm gonna go and get this blog post up for you guys so you can check it out, the link in my bio. But if you were hanging out here, I think you know what you need to do. And that is to create a brand experience, humanize it, show up, be the face of your brand, and don't be afraid to get real with people in your pictures, in your captions, in every single thing that you do. Okay? All right. I'll see you guys later. And if you guys have other questions about this, send me a DM if you want to see. If I get enough questions, we can do a part 2 or a sequel to this Instagram Live. Otherwise, my next topic will be photography, which is one of my favorite things in the whole world. So I'll see you guys next week.